Hey guys, it's me again. I'm back, and Alan's back as well. So I'm hoping that if you're watching this video, you watched our previous one when we talked about our relationship, where it met, or how we met, how we started our bond as a friendship together, and through eBay, and through collecting, but really more than that, and the sharing of life and sharing of experience. That experience being sports cards, but more importantly, the sharing of life and our experiences as people as we came together and grew together. So we're back with another quick video. We're going to talk about kind of the end of this little section in our life. So as I mentioned before, Alan had come to go to school. He finishes school, and about the same time he's finishing school and he's going to move on to bigger things or whatever, I'm actually about to get married. And so what we decided to do was we need to sell some of our cards, including potentially, or perhaps his 50 greatest players, and potentially my 55 set that I had completed, but this is a few years in the future. So what we did was we decided we're going to go be a dealer at a show. Had no idea about how to do this.
Never done it before.
We went down. We got a table at a show, and
Do you remember what the vendor fee was for that? I don't even remember.
$25 maybe,
Something like that.
$35
Yeah.
splitting it. I don't know. I do remember that there was a special guest signing. Do you remember that?
Yeah. Oh, I remember the guest.
It was oh my gosh,
Can you remember?
I can picture him.
Tim Hudson.
Tim Hudson, thank you. It's Tim Hudson. And awkwardly, I met Tim Hudson in the hallway when we were both standing in line waiting to get in the men's room. So Tim and I go way back, but didn't get an autograph. But anyway, so yeah, we decided to do a show. So we wanted to talk about some of the funny things we remember, because we were recounting these earlier, and I had forgotten some of these things. So what are some of your first memories that you had of this show, just trying to do the show? Because again, we're not dealers. We didn't know what we were doing.
Nope.
We were just trying to make a little bit of money. And
Yeah. Well, I mean, the first thing you had actually made a case for me where I could display the 50 greatest NBA players at that time. So I had this beautiful case, all these cards displayed. So it really looked nice on the table for any basketball fan or historian that would pass by. They would stop and they would look at it. Nobody wanted to buy anything from that, but they all wanted to talk about some of the players and some of the memories, and that was a lot of fun. That piece of it. The last video, the eBay purchases, we had purchased a lot of haphazard cards, just guys that I liked, some baseball, some basketball, and so I had a lot of different cards. And I think the only card that I actually sold that day was a Michael Jordan second year card. 1987 Fleer Michael Jordan was purchased by a guy who just had been walking by and saw the basketball cards, and talked about Michael Jordan, went down memory lane a little bit, and he ended up purchasing it. I don't even remember what he bought it for.
But, doesn't really matter.
Yeah, that's just one of the highlights. I've got a couple of others. But yeah.
Well, I remember one thing about Alan and I, we both do independently, and when we discovered this, we are people watchers. We love watching people, and a lot of people like this, and it sounds terrible to judge people about their character, but then again, some people wear their character on their sleeve, and so we were watching people because they certainly were not up at our table buying our product. But so some of the people I remember, first of all, we'll call them the brothers. Was these two guys, and when they came walking in, now remember, we don't know this show, but there's a lot of dealers who do this show all the time. I don't know if it was weekly or bi-weekly or whatever. These two guys come walking in, young guys. They were loud, they were obnoxious, and all these dealers sort of stood at attention, like, here they come, okay? Yeah. And they were so condescending. I would never buy that card. They'd pick something up off the table. This one it's got a dinged corner. How you expect me to buy this? And I remember thinking, no, I don't expect you to buy anything, And they came around, they came to my table, our table, and same way, talking down to us, not even talking to us, but talking about the cards like I wasn't there. But what I remember about them was their attitude of superiority, because they had money.
Yeah, and they had no problem showing us their money.
No, not at all. But the fact that all these, not all of them, but a number of dealers stood at attention, like, oh, here they come, please buy something for me. And I thought, what in the world? These guys were just, they were so arrogant about it. But on the flip side of these two brothers that were, just obnoxious or whatever, I remember a specific little kid who came up to my table with his dad, and he was talking about cards, and he had seen, he was the same way, vintage cards. I can't believe how old this was. And he just had a few dollars, but he really wanted an old card. And I remember talking to him about two specific cards. I don't remember what the one he didn't buy, but he did end up buying a 1971 Ernie Banks from me. And I remember telling him stories about Ernie Banks that I knew, And I remember when this kid bought this card for $5 or something. He walked away holding it with this reverence of, I can't believe I own this card of this great player. And I felt like, okay, you know what? I made a connection with this kid. This kid learned something about this player, about this card, and at this point in time cherishes this card. And so those are the two sort of opposites of people that, not that it's bad to look at cards as a business, but rather people that you talk down to people about cards, or talk, they berate them, or they minimize their collection, as compared to this kid that was just so in awe of owning this one little beat up 71 Ernie Banks card. So I do remember, those two as far as the opposites. Is there anybody else that sticks out or something?
The gentleman who had the table next to us had a number of vintage cards, memorabilia. Didn't have a lot of basketball stuff, but I remember him coming over and looking at the 50 greatest players, and we got in a conversation. We talked about Oscar Robertson and how he averaged a triple-double and all of those things, and and he saw my 1986 Fleer Patrick Ewing, and he said, "Oh, I'm really interested in this card. Would you consider trading?" And I said, "Yeah, I'd consider trading for something." And he actually had a tall boy Billy Cunningham card, which I already had in my collection, but the one that he had was a much nicer, much better cut, and so I'm making a trade with him, Patrick Ewing, for Billy Cunningham. I guess that would have been a 69 Billy Cunningham Topps tall boy. So just the interaction with that gentleman that was next to us. The other thing that jumps out in my mind, do you remember the father-daughter that came in to the card show? They were running up with a big binder. Yep. And they were super excited about this binder of cards that they had found, and they just wanted somebody to take a look at them. And must have come to our table first and handed you the binder, and you put it down and started flipping it. And I remember the daughter saying, and she was an adult daughter, so it's not like a little girl. She's probably in her 30s or 40s. And she said, "There's a really old Bobby Cox in there, manager of the Braves." And we open it up, and it's of course all of these 1980s
just junk.
Yeah, and I remember Drew telling them what I've heard him tell other people over the years is, "Hey, great, these cards aren't really worth that much, but what you need to do is find a kid who's just starting his collection, give him the cards, let him go through them. That's probably the best you can do with that." And they walked away a little disappointed, but
they learned.
They learned, yeah.
So now the lawyer. Let's talk about the lawyer. So we call him the lawyer because he was a lawyer, and everybody knew he was a lawyer. And again, when he came in, everybody, get your cards out and put them out. And he would come in at every time of the show, and we heard this from other dealers. Well, if the lawyer comes, if the lawyer and all this stuff. And what he did was, it didn't matter condition, and it didn't matter how many you had of it. If it was a 1980s rookie card, he bought it. Period. Done. Didn't matter who it was. So if you had, the Roger Clemens or the Mark McGwire, or if you had, no offense, Ken Herbeck or whatever, rookie card 80s, he bought it. He felt that this was where he was going to land by whatever, and he came in, and again, everyone's putting their, oh, here they are, and he came overnight. He did buy some stuff from both of us, and I think with you, it was the when you were in that accumulation phase, you were able to actually, that's where you sold the majority, was to him. He bought a number of cards. But the thing that I remember the most about him was not the fact that it was, I'm buying it, not the fact that it was all the dealers saying, here he comes, like, I don't know, the red carpet rolled out or something. It was the fact that he was specifically looking for the 1994 SP Alex Rodriguez rookie card. And he would buy every one of those things. And he told us, in talking to him, he told us his goal was to buy as many as he could so he could actually manipulate the market someday, because this was, again, 2000 and, well, this would have been 2004. So this is at the height of A-Rod's popularity and greatness, and before his decline and all that stuff. But the fact, you look back now and you think that someone actually thought they were going to corner a market on a card that was printed in 94, because I have no idea how many were printed, but he said he had a few thousand of them in his collection at home. And oh my gosh, just to think about that now, what is he doing? Looking at those cards, thinking, what am I doing? But anyway, but those are just some stories, and they're just, it was fun. It was fun doing it. We learned. We didn't make a whole lot of money. However, he still graduated and moved on. I still got married and had a honeymoon, and the truth is we had another experience around collecting. On the other side of trying to sell it, apparently we're not very good at it, but we had a good time, and again, it's just a matter of sharing and the connection we had. So
it's about building relationships with each other and with other people around us. Shared interests, absolutely.
All right, well, guys, thanks for watching again. Hope you enjoyed some of it. Remember some stories. Go out there and tell some people. Document them or just have fun with it. But anyway, appreciate you guys coming in. Leave comments down there. I want to read. Want to get to know you better. So until next time, you guys be good.